Vietnam, once hailed as the expat destination of Southeast Asia. Fast internet, cheap street food, a booming economy, and a laid-back lifestyle desired by so many expats. But in 2025, something's changed. Expats are packing their bags, not for a visa run, but for good. Why are so many entrepreneurs, retirees, expats, and digital nomads abandoning Vietnam? What's really going on behind the scenes? From visa issues to communism, expats are looking elsewhere for stability. Now I'm going to walk you through some of the biggest reasons that force foreigners out of Vietnam. The number one reason why expats, retirees, digital nomads, and entrepreneurs decide to depart Vietnam, not for a visa run but for good, is because of the lack of available residency permits in Vietnam. Out of all the countries in Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam has probably the least foreigner-friendly visa policies in 2025. Vietnam does not have a retirement visa. There's no pensioner visa in Vietnam. So if you're retired and you have income, like a pension, social security income, or perhaps you have a reliable monthly income from a dividend or from a rental property, well, guess what? Vietnam may still not accept you because the country simply cannot accept you because the country does not have a passive income visa. The country does not have a retirement visa. This is very abnormal. This is very strange if you look around Southeast Asia, because you will come across plenty of countries that you can move to where a monthly income of say $1,500 to $2,000 is sufficiently enough to secure a residency permit. Like in Thailand, where an income of just $2,000 monthly would be enough to get some kind of a long-term visa. Or in the Philippines, where you can get into the SRV program by proving an income of $800 to $1,000 monthly. Like I've said, in Vietnam's case, such a retirement visa does not really exist. Why isn't the country looking into creating such a visa? Well, it may well have to do with the fact that the country isn't really looking to diversify its income. The country is making more than enough income from its booming economy, where the government says, you know what, we don't really need to create a retirement visa for people that want to live here. If they want to live here, they can just come here as a tourist, stay for 90 days. If they may want to come back after a visa run or two, then that's fine with us, but we just don't want to see people living in Vietnam on a permanent basis. Likewise, there's also no digital nomad visa. If we compare Vietnam to Malaysia, we can see that Malaysia does have the Rantau digital nomad visa that you can get if you prove an income of $2,000 monthly or $24,000 annually. Again, in Vietnam's case, a digital nomad visa does not really exist. So even if you are a digital nomad with a legitimate business and you want to come live in Vietnam for say a year or 2 years, you can't, because you cannot get a digital nomad visa. It doesn't mean you can't be living in Vietnam, but it means you cannot get a visa that's valid for a year. It just doesn't exist. Now, what does exist in Vietnam is residency by company formation, which can be valid for up to 2 years. But it is contingent on you incorporating a Vietnamese corporation, meeting all the requirements necessary to comply with Vietnamese law, including doing the monthly accounting, filing annual tax returns, and if you start a business in a very competitive local sector, you may be required to have a local partner in order to incorporate the business. But you can own many companies 100% yourself. Whether you can renew your temporary residency by company formation fully depends on the progress you have made with your Vietnamese corporation. If the progress that you have made is sufficient in the eyes of the Vietnamese government, you may renew your visa for an additional 2 years. However, if the progress is insufficient, you may not be allowed to continue living in Vietnam under this visa. It is very much contingent on economic progress, you paying taxes in Vietnam, and making significant progress with your Vietnamese corporation. Another reason why expats are leaving Vietnam, not for a visa run, but for good, is because of the long-term effects done by Agent Orange. Agent Orange was a military operation carried out by the US that has left long-term effects on the country of Vietnam. It is believed that food is quite unsafe in Vietnam. Agent Orange has significantly impacted the food quality in Vietnam by contaminating its environment with dioxins. And it's very unfortunate that the effects are still in place today. Many Vietnamese consider their local food as unsafe. The dioxins have persistently remained in the soil in Vietnam, affecting the food chains tremendously, including animals and fish that live in the contaminated areas. Well, at some point, the United States was very much involved in the cleanup. Things have come to a halt recently. Expats are leaving Vietnam in 2025 because of past restrictions and lockdowns that have really reshaped the perception of Vietnam. Vietnam used to be a country of liberty, freedom, and endless enjoyment, but this whole image was altered during the past health crisis, where expats as well as citizens of Vietnam realized how strict of a measure the Vietnamese government can take during an emergency situation. The country underwent lots of lockdowns, restrictions, and has actually seen some of the most severe restrictions and lockdowns in the entire world. Because of this piece of past history, expats are thinking twice before relocating to Vietnam in 2025. However, this doesn't mean that Vietnam is not a place of freedom, where you can live a great life, enjoy a low cost of living, and mingle with like-minded individuals. But people should proceed with caution when it comes to potential future emergency situations. Expats are leaving Vietnam in 2025 because they don't have sufficiently enough freedom of speech in the country. Vietnam is a communist country, and it is run by a very strict government that is not very tolerant when it comes to free speech. Statements that you make about the government or businesses in Vietnam, things that would be completely normal in the United States of America, could lead to severe issues in Vietnam, including jail time. Over the past decade, Vietnam has jailed many people that were criticizing the government. If you value free speech, if you value your Second Amendment rights, you should reconsider relocating to Vietnam. Now that I've given you several reasons why expats are leaving Vietnam in 2025, where can you move to find more freedom? If you want to live in a country with much better visa policies, you may consider relocating from Vietnam to the Philippines, a country that has shown tremendous consistency in welcoming expats and giving them real permanent residency. As I've mentioned, the Philippines SRV program is one of the most successful and demanded residency programs in Southeast Asia. It has attracted thousands and thousands of expats, mostly Americans, who now live a brand new life in the Philippines, enjoying a low cost of living, beautiful beaches, and the hospitality of the locals. If you have an income of $1,000 monthly, you can immigrate to the Philippines. You can move to the Philippines and obtain permanent residency through the SRV program. If you have an income of at least $1,000 a month, you may qualify for the SRV program, but you must also deposit $10,000 into a Philippines bank account. If you have less than $1,000 in income, you may still qualify if you deposit $20,000 into a Philippines bank account. This visa is truly permanent. There are some annual fees to pay, some things to do to not lose your status, your legal status in the Philippines, but the requirements are actually quite soft. Now, if you believe that the Philippines is not for you, or you want a different lifestyle, you want to live in a country that mirrors your native country's qualities, you may consider relocating to Panama, a country located in Central America. Like the Philippines, Panama is home to a very tropical climate, also very warm, hospitable people, and you can immigrate to Panama by getting Panama's Pensionada visa. It's Panama's retirement visa that requires you to prove an income of just $1,000 monthly. You're not required to make a bank deposit of $10,000 like you do in the Philippines, but you are required to prove an income of just $1,000 monthly. Panama is a very popular retirement spot for American and Canadian retirees, offering one of the highest quality of life in whole Central America. You could also relocate to Panama by incorporating a business and sponsoring yourself. So you would do it by incorporating a Panamanian corporation and you would start out with temporary residency, and after 2 years you could get permanent residency in Panama, which is truly permanent. Another hospitable yet low-cost country located in Latin America is Paraguay. Paraguay's residency requirements are very soft as well. You don't have to prove economic solvency to immigrate to Paraguay. You can get temporary residency in Paraguay by just showing a clean criminal record and a passport from an eligible country. Which countries are eligible to apply for Paraguayan residency? European Union citizens of the United States of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, as well as a few more countries are eligible to apply for Paraguayan residency without proving economic solvency. Like Panama, Paraguay is home to a very tax-friendly system. It's called the territorial tax system, where you can become a resident of Paraguay and only pay taxes on locally generated income. So if you have Social Security, pension, dividend income, you may not have to pay taxes on that income when living in Paraguay. Only locally sourced income would be taxed. So if you have like a rental property, or if you have a local company that generates an income, or if you're employed by a local company in Paraguay, then only that income would be taxed in Paraguay. Uruguay is another tax-friendly country, a very different climate than, of course, Vietnam or the Philippines, and you may get Uruguayan residency by proving an income of about $1,700 monthly. Dividend income, it could be Social Security income, could be income from your pension or from a business. It just has to be stable. Uruguay offers an 11-year tax exemption on foreign sourced income, so very similar to the other countries that we have discussed in Latin America. Only locally sourced income would be taxed during those 11 years. After that, you may have to pay taxes on your worldwide income. Argentina is another country that is in more and more demand recently. You can get a retirement visa in Argentina by proving a consistent monthly income. You may also qualify for residency by education if you enroll into a university in Argentina to improve your skills. If you're interested in relocating to one of the countries that I just discussed, please go to nomadelite.com and click on book a consultation. I look forward to speaking with you and helping you obtain residency in one of the countries that we just discussed. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your attendance, and I look forward to welcoming you to the next video.